To promote the city, I would like to continue with our vibrancy and diversity and make this an attractive place to visit. And we can do that by promoting our local food sources, our local talents, our local product, and also to encourage other businesses to move here and create more employment opportunities for our citizens here as well. And just promote us globally and internationally and continue to get Regina on the map. The priorities that I see are, first of all, we need to clean up outstanding issues. So in terms of the deficit, we need to look at, we've fallen behind. We've deferred from one year to the next, and we've done that year after year. Now we're faced with a large deficit, and I think we need to look at prioritizing and ways to catch up. Second priority for me would be the Regina Revitalization Initiative that they're working on, and planning properly for that and being careful about what we're getting into, but also looking at the opportunities for the city in terms of generating revenue, again, to pay for infrastructure and other pieces that we need to look after. And the third one would be future planning and sustainability. So we really, I think we need to continue to go forward, but in a sustainable way. So planning new development, green development and brown development, and just creating more complete communities and neighborhoods. Okay. I think generally the city does a good job of being transparent. However, not in all cases. For example, the stadium, I think that has not been a transparent process, and that's partly why people are upset. I think we can get better at that. The stadium, for example, the perception is that that deal has been made behind closed doors and being sold to citizens as it's like a pig in a poke. So I think that we can improve in some ways, yes. I actually am in favor of a stadium. I think we need one. We will need one. Ours is nearing life expectancy. However, I'm not in favor of the current plan. I do not think it should fall on the taxpayers, and as much as they like to say that it's not, there's still some money to finance the stadium that is not accounted for. And I think people are they're quite uneasy about what we're getting into. Well, by postponing or deferring everything year after year, we have accumulated, my understanding is, a $2 billion deficit. So that's quite serious, and we have people waiting for 2 years for a sidewalk to be completed. We have roads and sidewalks are crumbling. We really need to be careful about what we're doing. And I don't think it should have gotten to that point. I think that we made decisions along the way that we shouldn't have. The 1% initiative, I'm not quite certain what they're looking at there, but if it is a way of collecting tax, it can be useful if it's going to something like infrastructure, for example, to get us caught up. But I would like to see that have a specific plan rather than just another way of collecting tax, and then we continue to make the decisions we're making, and then our taxes increase. And I think we're getting into a vicious cycle the way we are. So we really need a comprehensive plan if we're bringing in more money into our financing. Yes, I am, and I think that speaks to how extensive the problem is. It's affecting a lot of people, and it's also affecting them in very significant ways that I don't think the public are hearing about. I'm hearing from union members that we have families who are immigrants and they can't speak English, and they go to meetings and they're crying because they're having to move out of their homes because the pension is so high that they have to pay now to catch up. And it's not fair. I think we need a fair and due process, and we do need to do something soon. Well, I think the key issue is accountability to the citizens. And I think that can be a reciprocal feedback. I think we can get better at staying connected with the community when we are leaders and communicating with them and consulting with them. So I think that can be ongoing, and I am the type of person to welcome any kind of feedback or questions or ideas, and I look forward to being able to have the opportunity to engage citizens more so that we can work together and collaborate and go forward in a way that everyone does feel included. And in that way, then I will get that feedback as well, if I'm on the right track and I'm understanding their perspectives if they may differ from mine, and that's an ongoing process. The housing crisis did not happen overnight. This has been accumulating for years. Our vacancy rate is nearing zero. I know that the city did try to address the renovations from apartments into condos, and there was a limit on that to stay at a 3% vacancy rate. We're still running into trouble. I think there's lots we can do. Other cities are taking the initiative. One advantage we have now that we hadn't had so much is a land bank. So we recently acquired land that we did own. We had a cooperation with, we were supposed to cooperate with the province on an initiative on that land, and I think we could have done better and had something go forward with that. But we have that land now, so that's an opportunity. I also think that we have an issue of people who want to get into entry-level housing, so buying their first home. But the rent is so high, so we have this cycle now where the rent is so high, they can't save up a down payment, they can't move into their own home, and then we have a shortage for apartments or residences for others to rent. So if we can work with financial institutions and home builders and developers to look at ways, creative ways that other cities have done, and have, for example, a payment process for that down payment, so they don't have to have a lump sum. They can get in sooner and work together, and I think then everything will take care of the problem, that then we'll have more rental spaces available, and if we can also work at initiating more rental spaces that we can build, then the rent will come down too. It will be less competitive, or more competitive rather, and hopefully the rent will decrease as well. So, and seniors is another issue, and I think that seniors are occupying bungalows right now, and they don't want to leave because they don't want to leave their community, but there's no opportunity for them to be close to their grandchildren. So I think we can look at ways to help them downsize yet stay in their community as well. I think that we can always improve with crime, and I think that creative solutions are the way to go, in part. For example, I think of an RMF coach who has managed to get 3 Aboriginal youth through football. He's gotten them out of gangs and into football scholarships in the US. So I think that keeping youth busy is key. Mentoring is key as well, and helping them to go forward. And also, the more opportunities we can create for people and mentoring, and more programming, for example, with trades to train them, helping them have opportunities is one example of something that we can do. I do. Ideally, it would be nice to keep the services cost effective. We need to minimize waste if we can, and we want to retain employees, and I think that the management employee ratio right now is quite high. So I think if we can evaluate where we are at right now and how we can improve, we can continue to provide public service. Yes, I do. It's generated typically from a public organization where you involve the private organization to share the risk, share the cost, and the idea is to protect the public interest as well. There are traditional models. They have not gone so well, as on Local 21 there are some great examples and lots of research there. And I know at City Council meeting the other evening, actually, we discussed the P3 for the Regina Revitalization Initiative. And there are new models out there, so we're looking at the design build finance model and the design build finance maintenance model. That's what administration is looking at. There are possibly advantages to that. We can attract innovative services that can share the finance risk and come up with innovative design, and possibly that could be a good opportunity. However, I think we have to be cautious as well, and I need to know more about those. I need to research that more, because we can get into trouble, as we have in other P3s, where costs are higher. You need to guarantee durability of materials, and people, businesses cheaping out to get ahead. Who's sharing the profit? Who's sharing ownership? think it's important for us to, to look at that and look at the long term, and also innovations, and can they be as creative as they can. But so there are risks that are involved that we have to be aware of. I am in favor, as I drive home some days and I slide through the ruts. I think ideally we'd love to have clean streets. The challenge, I think, would be with the deficit that we have, and to repair infrastructure and rehabilitate and renew infrastructure. So we will have to balance that. I know that last year they paid, I think it cost, we used the budget, the entire budget of 5.4 million and another 1.6 million from the reserve budget. And if we get a heavy snowfall this winter, and if we have a number of them, we have, I believe the budget is 5.8 for 2012, and then 1.6, I believe, is the reserve. But we do need to be careful. We don't want to overextend, but yet there has to be that balance too, that people can drive with convenience, and yet, we need to be aware of our outstanding debts. I do support curbside recycling. I pay for the green recycling right now. It is important. Curbside recycling is a good concept, and I hope that the public would participate, but it will be only as good as the public chooses to participate. I know that it has been discussed, and Mike O'Donnell at the council meeting the other evening brought it up again, that something we could revisit is, or continue to explore, is paying for garbage and having recycling free, so that you really motivate people to recycle. I think it's a change that might take time for people here, but if we can create awareness and look at various programming or possibilities, I'm open to those options. I think the names of all applicants, that is an interesting concept. I hadn't heard of that idea before. I think if it is, again, that would be part of transparency. I don't know if, transparency is the issue so much as objectivity. So we have people who apply who obviously have the skills, they have the experience, they have the ability to be great members of boards, of committees. The issue, I think, is the objectivity of being selected. And I think that's what people are concerned about. They want the best members. They don't want boards to be stacked to favor certain opinions. And that's where we run into trouble. We want good representation of the public. Yes, and that's, again, a similar issue. The library board has been on the radar for some time. And because of the decisions, and the library has fallen into a very precarious state and is at risk of being demolished. I think that the public wonder if other members who had applied, if they were on the board, would those decisions be made differently? And I think their points and concerns are valid. Again, it's a matter of objectivity. We have had retired librarians or librarians who have, have been working in the libraries in the past, who have expressed an interest and applied and were never selected. I think we need, they are very skilled and they know what we need. I think they would be a great asset to those boards. Fortunately, with the upcoming December, after the election, all of those positions will be expiring. They will come to term in December. So my hope is that we have strong leadership who will select the most qualified members for that board, or citizens for that board, to become members, and that we can really work together, get a strong committee. But I think that comes down to strong leadership.